Before we get into today's Czech Pirc game, I'm super excited to announce that in the coming weeks, very soon, I'm going to be dropping a Czech Pirc course. Okay, now the Czech Pirc, a great option for black. It's against the move of e4, in which case we're playing d6, a Pirc defense, right? Knight f6. But then here we're not going with the mainline kind of g6 idea, right? We're instead playing this move of c6, and there's three purposes of this c6 move. First off, we're looking to neutralize this knight on c3. I mean, this knight on c3, we see this in so many Czech Pirc lines. That knight is going to have a hard time entering our side of the board when we have a pawn on c6 covering both of those key light squares. The second purpose of c6 is to prep moves like d5 and or b5 at the right moments. And finally, this c6 move does help us play ideas like queen b6 or queen a5, depending on the type of move that we see. Now, in the course, we're going to be looking at so many different moves and how to play against them. I mean, this includes bishop e2, d3, c4, bishop e3, bishop g5, f3. We're going to be looking at knight f3 there, right? We're going to be looking at a4. I mean, there's so many different moves, d5, e5. Really giving you, if you get this course, my goal is to really give you a holistic approach to the Czech Pirc and really make it so that you're prepared for all the major options, the important options that are going to come your way. And one of those moves that we cover, right, is this move of f3. Now, queen b6 is a move here that I look over that is extremely strong, gets great results. It's strong on a practical level, and a lot of players just don't know what the heck to do with it. But I'm also going to give you other options as well, right? Like e5 is an option here. Knight bd7 is a move as well. And a lot of these Czech Pirc lines, I look to give you some flexibility in terms of how you want to approach it. Now, there's some moves, for example, right after that move c6, like f4, for example. f4, the best move here for black, in my opinion, and I don't even think it's close, is queen a5, right? So that's the move we cover, queen a5, boom. That's what we cover. But against a move like f3, there's some different options available. So it's really up to you in which way you want to take that. We do cover this move again of knight bd7. And today what we're looking over is a game that I do cover in the course. Now in the course, there's a bunch of games that we're going to be looking over, very instructive ideas coming out of the Czech Pirc. But this is one of them, played by Varujan Akobian back in the year of 1995. So this is a long time ago. This is before he earned the IM title, before he earned the GM title. I consider Varujan Akobian to, potentially be the Czech Pirc Defense GOAT, or greatest of all time, at that opening. There is another player, Grandmaster Zbigniew, who is also very strong. A lot of his games are covered as well. But okay, bishop e3 was played in this game. Akobian here continues with e5, bishop e7, and castling kingside. Now, this is one of the approaches that you can take against the 150 attack, right? This 150 attack idea being that white usually plays bishop e3 and queen d2 and a move of f3. Now the move order can shift a little bit in how white approaches it, but usually if you see f3, you're going to see bishop e3, and usually if you see bishop e3, you're going to see f3 at some point. Now, here, black is okay to castle kingside. This is completely sound for black. Now, it might be a little bit scary after g4, but if you really study this position, and we look at this in depth in the course, black gets a great game following b5. So it really becomes a race. White going for our king, we going for theirs. And I'll be honest, there's going to be a lot of games here that if you play this, if you decide to go this route instead of queen b6 and you decide to take this kind of route against the 150, there are probably going to be games where you get wiped. But every single game you lose, draw, or win, try to learn a lesson, try to take something away from it, and eventually you're going to feel more and more comfortable in this type of position. And you can get some pretty crushing wins as well, especially once you learn the ideas. Again, you are completely okay here, right? You're completely okay here. It's just a matter of playing it correctly. Now, in the game, we have the move h4. I think this is a slight inaccuracy from white. I do want to mention this move g5, which again, do cover in the course. I love this idea of knight h5. What does this do? Well, it plugs up this h-pawn. So this g-pawn is all of a sudden, it's not feeling like it can advance a ton. This pawn on h2, I mean, you can go to h4, but it's going to be stuck. And we're also fighting for f4. And by definition, when you see the 150 attack with these three pawns, f4 becomes weak. There's no pawn that can defend that for the rest of this game. So by playing knight h5, we are looking at that very vulnerable f4 spot. And notice how we're keeping our pawns right in front of our king without moving them, right? Going back. I mean, if we see something like g4 and we go, okay, let's play h6 to, whoa, that's terrible. This terrible move, right? White plays h4. All of a sudden, they have a very nice target, a very easy target to go after. Even if we play b5, g5 happens. If we move this knight, we're going to lose our pawn. If we take, that's even worse. This queen slides over to h2. yeah, this is resignable. So all I have to say, keep these pawns here, right? B5, right? H4, we play queen A5. If G5, we're ready to play knight H5. We're ready to plug that up. And now by playing queen A5, we're looking to play B4 and potentially pick off this pawn, which could be very clutch for us in our attacking chances. King B1 is played in the game here, and Jacobian still pushes forward with B4, plays knight B6, right? Looking towards that C4 square. Kind of a hippo-esque idea there, pushing that B pawn, tucking the knight behind. There's a lot of overlap between openings like the Pirc, Czech Pirc. Obviously, those are very related. The Hippopotamus defense, the modern defense, the Tiger's modern defense, all these different things. But okay, we're looking at these light squares. And yeah, I mean, white plays knight C1, probably trying to get a little bit of a grip on that square. We now take on D4. This is a key idea. Okay, this is a key idea in this kind of position, right? You make some spaces at the Czech Pirc, you play queen A5, you tuck the knight, all that kind of stuff. At some point, you can take and then play C5. And what this ensures is that you have dominance over this diagonal, right? Whether white takes or not. I mean, if they go back, we still have great control over these dark squares and knight slicing and dicing on those light squares. And if white takes, which is what happened in the game, we capture back, we now have double ownership of these kind of squares. Now, in the game, we have queen takes D6. Right, queen takes D6 is played, and here Varouge and Jacobian did miss the move of bishop takes B2. Okay, this is crushing. Now here the idea is that if white takes, we have queen A3 with check. If the king goes back, knight A4. We're threatening mate right now. We're threatening mate. Knight D3 is just not going to get it done. We throw in another check. Guess what? This game's over now. Right? If queen E5, we can throw in a check still. Why not just get more attackers in there? Start looking at this pawn on A2. I mean, Stockfish actually recommends white taking this bishop on E6, which shows you just how desperate white is in this kind of position, because we're taking on A2, and yeah, I mean, that king's just not going to survive very long. So, you know, queen takes E6, bishop takes B2 was the best move, and so we have bishop E6. This is still completely crushing for black. Notice, if white tries E5, trying to make our bishop not as active, we play rook FD8. Sure, good job. You locked our bishop down, but now your queen's under attack. If you save your queen, guess what? You lose your rook. And if you take our bishop, queen takes A2. This game is over. So, okay, we go back to bishop E6. White instead tries queen F4. We now see bishop takes B2. White goes, you know what? I just don't want to deal with, you know, taking that bishop and then queen A3 and all this kind of stuff. So instead we see this move of knight B3, attacking the queen. Okay, let's keep making progress, right? Let's play queen A3, hold on to our bishop. We have great attacking chess here. This move of knight A4, this happens all the time. This knight A4 idea, whether you're coming from D7 to C5 to A4 or D7 to B6 to A4, that knight on A4 can become a disgusting attacking piece, a dangerous attacking piece for black against the enemy king. We know that the knight on the rim is dim, but if the knight is on the rim for a purpose, it can be one of the best attacking pieces in the game, especially in this kind of instance with that king on B1. Bishop H3, let's play C4, right? That's what we see in the game here. I mean, black's just forging ahead. In the game, we have knight B to C1. We throw in a check. White only has one move. That's literally the only move they can make. We capture back with the bishop. We're threatening mate here. Yeah, I mean, again, white's just not going to make it very far here. They seemingly resign. You can play knight C3, right, stopping mate, but then we take, and then you could go back to C1 to stop that, but then we, you know, take with the queen or with the bishop, either one, and this game is over. So as y'all can tell, I'm pretty pumped up about the Czech Pirc. I do think that this is a very underrated option for black. In this course, I look to give you guys, you know, some of the mainline options, but I'm also giving you some moves that not everyone plays, but that get great results. Okay, going back to that C6 position. For example, against bishop E3, right? In the course, we cover E5. That's a move that you can play here. We cover knight BD7. That's a move you can play. I'm recommending in the course queen B6. This is one that we look at as well. And all three of these are moves that you can make there, right? All three of those. These are all fine. But this move, queen B6, it performs extremely well. And, you know, if you do decide to get the course, I hope that you enjoy the theory behind it. I mean, really the idea here is that we're attacking the pawn on B2. If you play rook B1, guess what? You can't castle. If you play queen C1, guess what? Your development's limited. If you play B3, your dark squares become weak, right? There's so many different things that we could see here from white. There's so many moves that we cover in the course, right? We're looking at D5, which, by the way, is a big mistake. We're looking at knight A4, by the way, big mistake. We're looking at A3. Actually, engine move there, okay? And, you know, we're looking at a bunch of different options here, different things that we can see from the white side. I do want to mention in this video, A3, don't take the pawn, guys, please. It's poisoned. Knight A4, your queen's done. It's done. right? The best thing we can do is just get a rook out of it, but we're still completely lost. But even after a3, I don't think this is a refutation of queen b6. Only 5% of online players play a3, so you're probably not going to see it that often. I mean, in the Czech Pirc, if you look at the stats, right, which we talk about this through the course, but if you look at the stats, White has a very hard time with some of these moves because they're just not prepped for it, right? You hear people talking about, okay, I'm going to prep for the French, I'm going to prep for the Carl-Con, I'm going to... how many times do you hear someone going, gosh, I'm really trying to figure out a response against the Czech Pirc right now? I don't think I've ever heard that in my life. So there you go. That's the, kind of the benefit of playing something more rare. But yeah, if we do see a3, there are options that you have there as black. One of them being this move of knight g4, just starting to chase that bishop around, right? A lot of ways why I can go wrong here. If a move like bishop f4, guess what? e5, we're winning this position. We're winning if we play it correctly. Okay. So all that to say, big fan of this queen b6 move. There's also a lot of other, again, lines we're going to cover, like against f4. I recommend queen a5. Against knight f3, I'm recommending bishop g4 and going into a preferred French, which we cover those positional concepts in depth. Make sure to hit that, if you haven't already, right? If you want to see more Czech Pirc content, there's a lot coming. Free content on YouTube for those of you that, can't get the course, aren't interested yet. Maybe you're just trying to test out the waters. Any of those are fine, right? Maybe you like the Czech Pirc, but you're just trying to figure out, okay, do I like this, right? Am I really committed to this opening or not? There's a lot more content coming out. So if you want to see that, make sure to hit that notification bell. That's, that subscribe button. And a big part of that too, when we release this course, we will be giving out a 30% discount code for the sale when we release it. And that discount code will not last forever. So make sure you don't miss it. I'll see y'all soon. Peace. Thanks for watching today's video. If you enjoyed it, which I hope you did, it would mean a ton to me if you could hit that subscribe button and hit that notification bell so that you don't miss out on any other chess content coming your way. And I also wanted to give a big shout out to my Patreon supporters for the month of August in 2024, and specifically a big shout out to both Rob, who recently joined the Queen tier, and Walter, who has been a King tier patron for quite a long time. If you haven't thought about joining the Patreon community, there's some exclusive benefits that you gain by becoming a member. We're adding some benefits, and if you do decide to join, I look forward to talking to you on the platform and getting to know you better there. Thanks, and I'll see y'all in the next one. Peace.